Have you ever noticed that the wealthiest, most successful people rarely talk about what they're building until it's already built? There's an ancient wisdom behind this silence, one that Florence Scovel Shinn understood deeply when she taught that prosperity moves through invisible channels, channels that close the moment we expose them to premature scrutiny. What if I told you that the very act of sharing your dreams before they manifest is the precise reason they haven't manifested yet? But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Tonight, we're going to explore something extraordinary, something that operates in the space between your waking consciousness and sleep. You see, there's a threshold state, a liminal space that most people pass through without recognizing its power. In this state, your conscious mind, that vigilant guardian that questions, doubts, and analyzes everything, finally relaxes its grip. And when it does, something remarkable happens. Your subconscious mind, the true architect of your reality, becomes completely receptive to new instructions. Has this ever happened to you? You set a powerful intention. You feel excited about a new vision for your financial life. And then, you tell someone about it. Maybe a friend, a family member, someone you trust. And in that conversation, you notice something shift. Their doubt, however subtle, begins to seep into your certainty. Within days, your enthusiasm wanes. Within weeks, you've negotiated yourself out of the very thing you wanted. This isn't coincidence. It's a violation of one of the most fundamental laws of manifestation. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that words have power, but silence has even greater power. While everyone else is broadcasting their plans to anyone who will listen, diluting their creative energy with every conversation, there's another way. A way of moving in silence, of building in secret, of allowing your prosperity to take root in the invisible before it emerges into the visible. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. It might even change the way you approach wealth forever. The truth is, your subconscious mind doesn't need your conscious understanding to work. In fact, it works better without it. When you enter that space between waking and sleeping, when your brain waves slow down and your analytical mind steps aside, you gain access to the most powerful programming tool you possess. This is where real transformation happens. Not in affirmations shouted in the mirror, not in vision boards plastered across your wall, but in the quiet depths of consciousness where belief becomes biology, where thought becomes thing. Tonight, as you listen to these words, you're going to be guided into that exact state, and once you're there, something ancient and powerful will begin to work through you. Think about how a computer accepts programming. When you install new software, the computer doesn't question it, doesn't debate whether the code is valid or not. It simply receives the instructions and executes them. Your subconscious mind operates with that same elegant simplicity, but only when the conscious mind isn't interfering. And that's exactly what happens in this threshold state we're entering together. The critical faculty, that inner skeptic that wants proof before believing, finally goes offline. In that moment, every suggestion you hear doesn't get filtered through doubt or analyzed through logic. It drops directly into the subconscious as a command, an instruction that will be executed automatically. This is the hidden truth behind why bedtime affirmations work when nothing else does. It's not magic, it's mechanics. It's understanding that there's a narrow window each night where your mind becomes like fertile soil, ready to receive whatever seeds you plant. And here's where most people make their biggest mistake. They plant the seeds and then immediately dig them up to see if they're growing. They talk about what they're manifesting. They share their financial goals. They announce their transformation journey before the transformation has even begun. Florence Scovel Shinn understood something profound about the nature of growth. She knew that every seed, every single one, must develop its root system in complete darkness before it can push through the soil into the light. This isn't a poetic metaphor. It's a law of nature that applies to your prosperity just as much as it applies to an oak tree. When you plant a seed in your garden, you don't see anything happen for days, sometimes weeks. But beneath the surface, in the hidden realm, everything is happening. Roots are spreading, drawing nutrients, establishing the foundation that will eventually support something magnificent. Your wealth works the same way. Your business breakthrough, your financial abundance, your career transformation. These things are building their root systems right now in the invisible realm of consciousness. But the moment you expose them prematurely, the moment you let someone else's doubt touch your tender new vision, you damage those roots. You interrupt the process. Has this ever happened to you? You have a powerful idea, a clear vision, and then someone asks what you're working on. You explain it, and they give you that look. You know the one. That subtle expression of skepticism. And suddenly, your certainty wavers. If this resonated with you, subscribe to this channel. There's so much more we're going to explore together, and I want you here for the entire journey. The impact of other people's doubt isn't just emotional. It's energetic. It creates interference patterns in your consciousness that slow down or completely derail the manifestation process. This is why silence isn't just recommended, it's essential. Now, I want to go even deeper into this understanding, because what happens next in this process will reveal exactly why your previous attempts at manifestation may have fallen short. We're moving into the precise mechanics of how your sleeping mind becomes your most powerful ally in building wealth, and how tonight, as you drift off, you'll be doing something very different than you've ever done before. Write in the comments, "I'm ready for silent wealth." When was the last time you heard the ocean announce it was about to change its tide? When did dawn ever knock on your door to ask permission before breaking across the horizon? Nature's most powerful forces move in complete silence, following laws so ancient and reliable that they need no fanfare, no validation, no witnesses. The moon pulls the ocean without making a sound. Seeds crack open beneath. The earth where no eye can see. Mountains rise over millennia without declaring their intentions. And wealth, true sustainable wealth, follows this exact same pattern. There's a reason why old money stays quiet while new money shouts. It's not about snobbery or social class. It's about understanding a fundamental law of energy. Everything in this universe operates on vibration, on frequency. Your thoughts aren't just abstract concepts floating around in your head. They're measurable. Electromagnetic waves that emanate from you constantly. And here's the revelation that changes everything. The universe doesn't respond to your words, your wishes, or your carefully crafted affirmations. It responds to your vibration, to the energetic signature you're broadcasting every single moment. When you speak about something you're trying to manifest, especially to someone who doesn't share your vision, you're not just sharing information. You're actually scattering your creative energy across multiple frequencies. Think of it like this. Imagine you have 100 units of creative power focused like a laser beam on your financial breakthrough. That concentrated energy is moving mountains in the invisible realm, rearranging circumstances, drawing opportunities toward you. But then you explain your vision to someone, and they respond with skepticism. Suddenly, a portion of your energy splits off to defend your idea. Another portion goes toward processing their doubt. Another portion starts questioning yourself. That laser beam just became a scattered flashlight, and its power to transform your reality has been dramatically reduced. This is the hidden mechanism behind why talking depletes manifestation power. It's not superstition, it's physics. Every word you speak about an unmanifested desire before its time releases a portion of the concentrated energy that was meant to bring it into form. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that there's a gestation period for every vision, a sacred incubation time when silence is your greatest ally. During this time, your only job is to maintain inner coherence, to keep your vibration steady and focused on the outcome as if it's already done. Inner coherence, that's the key phrase here. It means your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are all aligned, all pointing in the same direction, creating a powerful, unified field of intention. When you achieve this state, even for moments at a time, you become magnetic to the very thing you desire. But the moment you start explaining, justifying, or defending your vision to others, you break that coherence. Your energy fragments, your vibration scatters, and the universe, which was already organizing circumstances in your favor, suddenly receives mixed signals. What I'm about to share with you next will show you exactly how to maintain this coherence, how to keep your energy concentrated and your vibration pure, especially during the most powerful reprogramming time. Available to you, the moments just before sleep, when your conscious mind finally surrenders control. Drop a comment. My silence is my power. There are fundamentally two types of people walking through this world, and you can identify them instantly by how they handle their dreams. The first type needs witnesses. They need validation. They need to tell everyone what they're planning, what they're building, where they're going. Every decision becomes a public announcement. Every intention, a conversation topic. They're constantly seeking approval, testing their ideas against other people's reactions, measuring their worthiness by how others respond. And here's what happens. Their energy leaks out with every conversation. The very act of explaining releases the tension, the charge, the creative power that was supposed to propel them forward. Then there's the second type. These people move differently. They make decisions in silence. They build in private. They trust their inner guidance so completely that they don't need external confirmation. When someone asks what they're working on, they smile and give a simple, vague answer that reveals nothing of substance. Not because they're being secretive or dishonest, but because they understand something crucial. Their dreams are too precious, too new, too vulnerable to expose to the unpredictable weather of other people's opinions. Which path have you been walking? Because this distinction isn't just about personality, differences. It's about understanding how manifestation actually works. When you explain your desires to someone who doesn't share your vision, you're essentially asking them to hold a piece of your dream for you. And most people, no matter how well-meaning, will unconsciously project their own limitations onto your vision. Their doubt becomes a weight you now carry. Their skepticism becomes a voice in your head during moments of uncertainty. This is the hidden cost of premature sharing. You think you're just having a conversation, but energetically, you're fragmenting your focus, diluting your intention, and inviting interference into a process that requires absolute inner alignment. The real revelation here is that authentic faith doesn't need an audience. In fact, true faith is so quiet, so internally focused, that it barely registers on the external world until results begin appearing. Faith without noise is faith that organizes. It arranges your thoughts first, aligning them into coherent patterns. It settles your emotions, bringing them into harmony with your intentions. It restructures your beliefs, removing the hidden contradictions that have been sabotaging your progress. And all of this happens in silence, in the private laboratory of your own consciousness. The external world has no idea this transformation is taking place. Reality only catches up later, reorganizing itself to match the new internal structure you've built. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that mind comes before matter, always. But most people try to change their external circumstances while maintaining the same internal chaos. They want the money before they've organized the consciousness that attracts money. They want the relationship before they've healed the patterns that repel relationships. They want the success before they've cultivated the mindset that sustains success. And because they're approaching it backward, they stay stuck in cycles of temporary wins followed by inevitable losses. The faster you embrace internal silence, the faster universal laws respond to your intentions. It's not about how loudly you declare what you want. It's about how quietly and completely you align with it. And tonight, as you prepare for sleep, you're going to experience exactly what this alignment feels like, how it settles into your nervous system, how it begins reorganizing everything from the inside out. Let's be completely honest about something that the self-help industry doesn't want you to know, Positive thinking alone has never changed anyone's bank account. Motivation is a temporary high that fades the moment life throws you a curveball. Hoping and wishing and visualizing pretty pictures in your mind might make you feel good for a moment, but it won't restructure the deep patterns running your financial reality. What we're talking about here is something entirely different. This is mental engineering, the precise science of how consciousness creates form. Engineering is exact. When you build a bridge, you don't just think positive thoughts about steel and concrete. You understand load-bearing capacity, structural integrity, the relationship between tension and compression. You work with laws, not wishes. Your mind operates under equally precise laws, and when you understand these laws, when you work with them deliberately, transformation isn't a hope, it's an inevitable outcome. The mechanics of manifestation are as reliable as the mechanics of any physical system, but most people never learn how to operate the machinery. Here's what actually happens when you approach sleep. Your brain waves, which have been cycling rapidly through beta frequency all day, that fast, analytical, problem-solving state, begin to slow down. First into alpha, that relaxed but aware state. Then deeper into theta, where the boundary between conscious and subconscious becomes thin, almost transparent. In theta, something extraordinary occurs. Your thoughts stop arguing with themselves. That constant internal debate, the voice that questions every intention and doubts every possibility, finally goes quiet. This is the state where hypnotherapy works, where deep meditation transforms people, where trauma can be healed and beliefs can be rewired, not because of magic, but because the critical faculty, that gatekeeper between your conscious desires and your subconscious programming, temporarily steps aside. And when it does, your subconscious mind becomes like an open door. Whatever enters doesn't get challenged, doesn't get filtered through skepticism or analyzed for probability. It simply gets received and filed as instruction. Think about the implications of this. Every single night you have access to this state. Every single night there's a window where you could be installing new programming, new beliefs, new patterns that would completely reshape your financial reality. But what are most people doing? They're falling asleep to news broadcasts, to crime dramas, to their own worried thoughts about bills and problems and everything that went wrong today. They're using the most powerful reprogramming tool available to them to reinforce the very patterns they want to escape. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined, between what's happening and what you're visualizing. It only knows what you're impressing upon it with emotion and repetition. So when you fall asleep, rehearsing scarcity, when the last thoughts running through your mind are worries about money, your subconscious receives that as an instruction and spends the entire night organizing more scarcity, more worry, more evidence to support those patterns. But when you understand this mechanism, when you take conscious control of what you're impressing into that receptive state, everything shifts. And what I'm about to guide you through will show you exactly how to use this window deliberately, how to plant precise instructions that your subconscious will execute flawlessly while you sleep. There's a doorway that exists for only a few minutes each night, a threshold that most people pass through unconsciously, never realizing the power concentrated in that brief transition. It's the space between waking and sleeping, that liminal zone where you're neither fully here nor fully gone. Ancient traditions recognize this as a sacred time, a crack between worlds where the veil between conscious and subconscious becomes so thin it's almost non-existent. And in this space, words don't just bounce around in your head, they penetrate. They sink down past the surface chatter, past the defenses and doubts, down into the fertile soil of your deepest mind, where reality itself is structured. This is where real change happens. Not through effort, not through willpower, but through precise alignment. You see, most people have been taught that manifestation is about attraction, about pulling things toward you from out there. But that's not how it works. You're not attracting anything. You're aligning your internal structure with a different frequency, and reality reorganizes itself to match. It's like tuning a radio. You don't attract the signal, you align with it, and suddenly what was always there becomes audible. This threshold state is your tuning mechanism, and the words you allow into this space become the frequency you're locked into. What happens next? While your conscious mind drifts into sleep is where the real magic of transformation occurs. Your body might be resting, your muscles relaxing, your breathing slowing, but your mind? Your subconscious mind is anything but dormant. This is when it goes to work. Think of it as a night shift crew that takes over when the day workers go home. While you sleep, your subconscious is processing, organizing, problem-solving, making connections, and most importantly, executing the last instructions it received before you went offline. This isn't metaphorical. Neuroscience has proven that the sleeping brain actively consolidates memories, processes emotions, and integrates new information. But here's what science is only beginning to understand. Your subconscious doesn't just process what happened during the day. It builds what will happen tomorrow based on the dominant thoughts and feelings you impressed upon it before sleep. Whatever emotional state you carry into that threshold, whatever thoughts you're rehearsing as consciousness fades, those become the blueprint your subconscious follows all night long. If you fall asleep stressed about money, your subconscious spends 8 hours reinforcing neural pathways of financial anxiety, strengthening the very patterns that keep you stuck. It's literally building more scarcity into your tomorrow. But if you fall asleep with a feeling of abundance, with images and sensations of wealth already achieved, your subconscious begins constructing the neural pathways, the mental frameworks, the emotional patterns that support that reality. It's not hoping for abundance. It's building the internal architecture that makes abundance inevitable. Florence Scovel Shinn called this impressing the subconscious, and she understood that the quality of your sleep programming determines the quality of your waking reality. Your night is not downtime, it's creation time. It's when the invisible work happens, when the foundation gets poured, when the framework gets assembled. And tonight, you're going to discover exactly how to use this creation workshop deliberately. How to hand your subconscious a clear blueprint instead of letting it default to old patterns of limitation and struggle. Leave a comment. My sleep creates my wealth. The last thought you think before sleep isn't just a thought. It's an order, a command, a directive that your subconscious will obey with perfect precision for the next 8 hours. Most people don't realize they're giving orders at all. They think they're just worrying, just reviewing the day, just processing what happened. But your subconscious doesn't interpret, doesn't analyze context. It simply receives the emotional frequency of your final conscious moments and says, "Understood. This is what we're organizing tonight." So when you replay that argument before bed, when you mentally calculate how you're going to pay next month's bills, when you fall asleep rehearsing problems, your subconscious takes that as a directive and spends the entire night building more of the same. It's creating neural pathways that lead to more arguments. It's strengthening the patterns of financial stress. It's organizing tomorrow's reality to match tonight's worry. And you wake up wondering why nothing ever changes, why the same patterns keep repeating, never recognizing that you've been programming them in, night after night, with the last thoughts you allowed before crossing into sleep. But here's where the power lies. The mechanism works both ways with equal precision. When you fall asleep feeling certain about your prosperity, when the last sensation moving through your body is confidence in your financial future, when you drift off with images of abundance already accomplished, your subconscious receives that instruction and begins building the pathways, the connections, the opportunities that support that reality. It doesn't question whether it's possible. It just executes the command. This is the behind-the-scenes work that separates people who transform their lives from people who stay stuck despite trying everything. The difference isn't intelligence, isn't luck, isn't even effort during waking hours. It's what they're programming during those crucial minutes before consciousness fades. And here's the revelation that changes everything. You don't have to make this happen. You don't have to force it, struggle with it, or figure out the mechanics. Your only job is to allow it. Allowing is harder than it sounds for most people because we've been conditioned to believe that change requires effort, that transformation demands struggle. We think we need to understand every step, solve every problem, figure out the entire path before we can move forward. But that's the conscious mind talking, and the conscious mind is exactly what needs to step aside for this process to work. When you try to control the journey, when you insist on understanding the how before you experience the what, you're actually blocking the very intelligence that could reorganize everything effortlessly. Your subconscious knows how to heal your body without you understanding cellular biology. It knows how to digest your food without you consciously directing enzymes. It orchestrates billions of processes every second that you never think about. And it knows how to arrange circumstances, create connections, and manifest opportunities that your limited conscious perspective could never plan. But it can only do this work when you stop interfering, when you release the need to control and simply allow the deeper intelligence to operate. Tonight, as you prepare for this experience, your task is radical permission. Permission for your mind to enter states you've never consciously accessed. Permission for answers to form without forcing them. Permission for connections to emerge naturally, quietly, in the background of your awareness. And what unfolds from this allowing will show you exactly why resistance, not lack of ability, has been the real obstacle all along. When this process begins working, don't expect fireworks. Don't expect to wake up tomorrow morning with $1 million in your bank account or some dramatic external shift that validates everything immediately. That's not how deep transformation operates. The real changes, the lasting ones, start subtly. So subtly that most people miss them entirely because they're looking for the wrong signs. What you'll notice first is an internal shift. You wake up and there's a calmness that wasn't there before. Not excitement, not euphoria, just a quiet, settled feeling. A sense that something has shifted beneath the surface. You might find yourself responding to situations differently, with less reactivity, less anxiety. Where you used to spiral into worry about money, now there's just this gentle certainty, this knowing that things are working out even when you can't see the evidence yet. That clarity you've been searching for? It starts appearing in small moments. A decision that used to paralyze you suddenly feels obvious. A path forward that was cloudy becomes clear. You're not trying to figure things out anymore. Answers just arrive. This is your nighttime workshop in action, organizing reality from the inside out, creating the internal coherence that the external world will eventually mirror. But here's where most people sabotage the entire process without realizing it. They feel that shift. They notice the calm, the clarity, the quiet certainty building. And then they do the one thing guaranteed to interrupt it. They start talking about it. They tell their partner what they're doing. They explain to their friends how they're manifesting wealth. They post about their transformation journey on social media. And with every explanation, every detailed account of their process, they're bleeding out the very power that was concentrating to create change. This isn't about ability. You're not failing because you lack talent or intelligence or worthiness. You're stuck because there's too much noise. External noise. Everyone's opinions, advice, skepticism. Internal noise. The constant mental chatter, the comparing yourself to others, the need to justify your choices. Every time you explain what you're building before it's built, you're taking energy that should be concentrated like a laser and scattering it like a flashlight. The impact is immediate, even if you don't consciously register it. Think about the people you know who constantly talk about what they're going to do. They have elaborate plans. They share every detail with anyone who'll listen. And years later, they're still talking about the same plans. Still explaining, still preparing, never actually manifesting. Then think about the people who quietly execute. They don't announce, they don't justify, they just move in silence, and one day you notice they've completely transformed their reality while everyone else was still talking. The difference isn't talent, It's understanding that manifestation power concentrates in silence and dissipates in explanation. When you protect your vision, when you guard your process, when you keep your transformation journey private until there's actual evidence to show, you're not being secretive, you're being strategic. You're working with the laws of energy instead of against them. And as we move deeper into what you're about to experience, tonight you'll discover exactly why this silence isn't just recommended, but absolutely essential for the kind of lasting wealth you're ready to create. When faith is new, when a vision is just beginning to take shape in your consciousness, it's incredibly fragile. Not because the vision itself is weak, but because it hasn't developed roots yet. It's like a newborn, full of potential, but requiring protection from harsh elements. And the harshest element your new belief will face isn't external, circumstance, or bad luck. It's other people's doubt, especially from those closest to you. Here's what happens in those early stages. You've just started reprogramming your relationship with money. You're feeling different, thinking different, sensing possibility where you used to see limitation. And then someone who knows the old you asks what's changed, what you're doing. You explain. And in their eyes, you see it. That flicker of skepticism, that subtle expression that says they don't quite believe this will work for you. They might not say it directly. They might even offer encouraging words. But energetically, you felt their doubt, and now it's inside you. That doubt doesn't announce itself loudly. It filters in quietly, almost imperceptibly. First, you catch yourself questioning your own certainty. Then you start justifying your approach, even just to yourself. Then you begin negotiating. Maybe I should just be realistic. Maybe this is too good to be true. Maybe I'm being naive. Before you know it, you're defending your vision against your own mind, and the clear channel you had opened to abundance is now clouded with interference. This is why silence isn't about hiding or being dishonest or keeping secrets. Silence is preservation. It's protecting the tender new growth of your evolving consciousness from the frost of other people's limitations. When you maintain silence around your transformation, you're creating a protected space where your faith can develop. Strength, where your vision can establish deep roots before it faces the winds of external opinion. And here's the beautiful part. When people notice something different about you, when they comment on your calm, your confidence, your quiet certainty, you don't owe them an explanation. A smile is enough. A simple acknowledgement that you're doing well is sufficient. You're not being rude or withholding. You're being wise. You understand that your creative power is precious, that your transformation journey belongs to you, and that the people who truly support you won't demand explanations for your peace. There's profound strength in this kind of composure, in moving through the world with a centered presence that doesn't need to justify itself. It confuses people who live in constant explanation mode, who measure their worth by how others respond to their plans. Your silence becomes its own form of power, a statement that you've graduated from seeking approval to generating results. And as you deepen into the experience we're moving toward tonight, you'll feel this preservation instinct strengthen within you, this knowing that what you're building is too valuable to expose before it's time, too sacred to debate with those who aren't ready to understand the journey you've chosen. Here's the truth that changes everything once you fully grasp it. Other people's opinions about your life have exactly zero power to shape your reality. None. Their beliefs about what's possible for you, their judgments about your choices, their skepticism about your vision, all of it is completely irrelevant to what actually manifests in your experience. The only thing that determines your reality is your internal state, the dominant frequency you're broadcasting from within, the beliefs and feelings you're consistently holding in your consciousness. This is why two people can use the same affirmations, follow the same process, expose themselves to the same teachings, and get completely different results. It's not about the words or the techniques, it's about the internal coherence beneath those words. One person is holding unwavering faith internally while maintaining silence externally. The other is broadcasting their intentions to everyone, absorbing doubt, questioning themselves, and fragmenting their focus. Same method, opposite results, and the difference is the internal state they're maintaining. The more silence you hold, the stronger your internal state becomes. Think of it like building pressure in a contained system. When you keep your intentions private, when you refuse to release that creative tension through premature explanation, the pressure builds. Faith becomes firmer. Certainty becomes unshakable. And the universe, which responds to vibration, not words, begins moving faster to match the intensity of your internal alignment. This is the hidden mechanism behind why the quietest people often manifest the most dramatic transformations. They're not lucky, they're concentrated. Now, as we transition into the direct experience you came here for, I need you to shift how you're engaging with these words. Up until this moment, you've been listening, thinking, analyzing, making connections. That's been valuable. But now, that analytical mind needs to step back. What's about to happen requires a different mode of consciousness, a receptive state where you're not trying to understand or evaluate. You're simply allowing. Imagine pouring water into a container. The container doesn't analyze the water. It doesn't question whether it deserves to be filled. It doesn't debate the chemical composition of H2O. It simply receives, and the water fills it naturally, effortlessly, completely. That's the state I'm inviting you into now. Your consciousness is the container. The words you're about to hear are the water. And your only task is to let them pour in without resistance, without interpretation, without the need to make sense of everything consciously. This shift from thinking to receiving is crucial. When you hear affirmations about wealth, about abundance, about your financial reality transforming, your conscious mind will want to debate. It'll want to bring up past failures, current limitations, logical reasons why this can't work. Let those thoughts arise if they must, but don't engage them. Just notice them passing by like clouds, and bring your attention back to the gentle flow of words entering your awareness, settling into the deeper layers of mind where real transformation is coded. As you relax further into this receptive state, you're preparing the soil of your subconscious for seeds that will grow into tomorrow's reality. And the quality of your receptivity right now will determine how deeply those seeds take root. Leave a comment. I receive my abundance now. Wealth isn't something you acquire from outside yourself. It's not a prize you win or a lucky break that happens to you. Wealth is a natural state of consciousness that you step into, like stepping into a room that was always there, but you'd been standing outside of. Your mind, right now, is beginning to recognize prosperity not as something foreign or distant, but as your normal condition. This is who you've always been beneath the conditioning, beneath the stories you absorbed about money being hard or scarce or reserved for other people. As these words settle into you, your subconscious is receiving them as instructions, as updates to the operating system that runs your financial reality. It's not hoping this is true. It's not wishing or wanting. It's simply executing the program with the precision of any well-designed system. Money doesn't respond to your desires or your desperation. Money responds to your inner coherence, to the alignment between what you claim to want and what you genuinely believe is already yours. And right now, as you allow these truths to imprint themselves deeper, that coherence is forming. This isn't just about having more money in your bank account, though that will come. This is about a fundamental shift in identity, in who you understand yourself to be at the core. Financial abundance isn't something you're trying to add to your life, like an accessory or an upgrade. It's integrating into your identity, becoming woven into the fabric of how you see yourself, how you move through the world, how you make decisions without even thinking about it. When prosperity becomes part of your core identity, everything changes automatically. You don't have to force different behaviors or discipline yourself into new habits. Your internal system simply reorganizes itself to match this new self-concept. The decisions you make naturally align with wealth. The opportunities you notice are the ones that lead to expansion. The actions you take, even small ones, carry the momentum of someone who already is what you're becoming. This isn't performance or pretending. This is recognition of what's been true all along, but was hidden beneath layers of conditioning. Prosperity flows toward you in perfect order because you're no longer blocking it with conflicting beliefs or scattered energy. There's a coherence now, a unified field where your thoughts, your feelings, your expectations, and your identity are all pointing in the same direction. And the universe, which has always been responsive to your vibration, begins delivering with a precision that will astonish you once the evidence starts showing up in your physical reality. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that you don't become wealthy and then develop a prosperity consciousness. You develop the consciousness first, and wealth is the inevitable reflection. Right now, in this receptive state, you're installing that consciousness at the deepest level available to you, deeper than affirmations could reach during your waking hours, deeper than motivation or willpower could ever penetrate. This is subconscious restructuring, and it's happening as naturally as breathing while you allow these truths to permeate every layer of your being. Money doesn't have to be hard. That's one of the biggest lies the world sold you, and you've been carrying it like truth. The idea that wealth requires struggle, that you have to fight for every dollar, that financial success means sacrificing everything else, all of that is programming, not reality. Right now, your subconscious is being reprogrammed to understand what wealthy people have always known. Money moves toward coherence, toward clarity, toward those who expect it with the same casual certainty they expect air when they breathe. Ease is your natural state. Increase is your normal condition. Your subconscious, freed from the old stories about scarcity and struggle, recognizes this as fact. And once something is recognized as fact in your subconscious, it becomes automatic in your experience. You don't have to convince yourself anymore. You don't have to pump yourself up with motivation every morning. The programming runs in the background, executing itself while you sleep, while you rest, while you go about your day completely unaware of the invisible arrangements being made in your favor. This is the revelation that most people miss. Prosperity builds in the silence, in the stillness, in the hours when you're not actively working on it. Just as your body heals while you sleep, just as your muscles grow during rest, after exercise, your financial reality expands during the quiet moments when your conscious mind isn't interfering with agendas and anxieties. Tonight, while you rest, the prosperity you've been seeking is being constructed at levels you can't consciously perceive, woven into the fabric of your tomorrow. What emerges from this process isn't nervous hope or fragile optimism that collapses at the first obstacle. What emerges is stable confidence, the kind that doesn't waver when circumstances temporarily contradict it. You begin to feel this confidence settling into your body, into your nervous system, into the way you carry yourself. It's not arrogance. It's not based on current evidence. It's a deep knowing that your financial situation is secure because the internal foundation supporting it is now solid. Wealth stops feeling like something you're chasing and starts feeling like something that's gently settling into your life, finding its natural place the way water finds its level. There's no force, no strain, no desperate grasping, just a quiet recognition that this is where you belong, this is what's meant for you, and the universe is simply catching up to what your consciousness has already claimed. Your internal system, that intricate network of beliefs and expectations and habitual thoughts, is learning something new. It's learning to generate increasing value naturally, not through harder work, but through higher alignment. It's learning to recognize opportunities that match your new frequency. It's learning to make decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. And all of this learning happens beneath conscious awareness, in the deep programming layers that actually run your life. And as we continue, you'll discover exactly how deep this reprogramming goes and how permanent these changes can become. There are universal laws operating in this reality, whether you acknowledge them or not. Just like gravity works, whether you believe in it or understand it. One of these fundamental laws is the law of increase. Everything in nature seeks to expand, to grow, to become more. A seed becomes a tree. A tree produces thousands of seeds. Each of those seeds carries the potential for thousands more. This isn't random, it's law. And your mind, right now, is aligning itself with this same principle of endless expansion. When you align with the law of increase, wealth stops being something you have to make happen and becomes something that happens through you. It's the difference between swimming against a current and allowing a river to carry you. The current was always there. The river was always flowing toward the ocean. You were just fighting it, exhausted from the resistance, convinced that struggle was the only way. But alignment means you turn, you release, and you let the natural movement of increase carry you forward with a power that no amount of personal effort could match. Wealth feels coherent within you now, because there's no longer a war between what you want and what you believe you can have. The conflict that used to drain your energy, that used to create those exhausting cycles of hope and disappointment, is dissolving. Every breath you take is reinforcing this new coherence, quite literally. As oxygen enters your body, as your nervous system regulates itself into deeper states of calm, the feeling of financial stability is being encoded into your biology. This isn't metaphorical. Your body is learning what security feels like, what prosperity feels like, and it's beginning to seek that state as naturally as it seeks balance when you walk. Your entire internal system, thoughts, emotions, beliefs, expectations, habitual responses, is reorganizing itself into cooperation. Before, these elements were in conflict. Your thoughts might have said you wanted wealth, while your emotions were broadcasting fear. Your beliefs claimed abundance was possible, while your expectations prepared for disappointment. That internal chaos creates external chaos. But cooperation creates order, and order creates manifestation with precision. When your internal system cooperates fully with the flow of money, something remarkable happens. Prosperity stops being sporadic, stops being those occasional lucky breaks surrounded by long stretches of struggle. Instead, it manifests with continuity, with reliable rhythm, with the kind of sustained momentum that builds real wealth over time. Your subconscious isn't attracting one-time windfalls anymore. It's attracting patterns, systems, streams of income that don't require constant effort to maintain, because they're being generated from a stable internal foundation. This is the behind-the-scenes transformation that explains why some people seem to have money flowing from multiple sources while others are stuck in the feast or famine cycle. It's not luck or connections or superior intelligence. It's internal cooperation versus internal conflict. And right now, as these words continue to reprogram the deepest levels of your consciousness, cooperation is becoming your default state. Abundance isn't meant to be this rare, exceptional experience that only happens on special occasions. It's meant to be woven into the fabric of your daily life, as normal as breathing, as ordinary as morning coffee. And that's exactly what's happening now as your consciousness continues restructuring itself. Wealth is no longer this distant goal you're working toward. It's becoming part of your everyday experience, part of how you move through the world, part of what you expect when you wake up each morning. Your deep mind, operating beneath conscious awareness, is constantly creating scenarios. It's running simulations, making predictions, preparing responses based on the patterns it recognizes. For most of your life, it's been creating scenarios of limitation because that's what it was programmed to recognize. But now it's creating scenarios of wealth. It's imagining opportunities where it used to see obstacles. It's preparing you for success where it used to brace for struggle. And these internal scenarios aren't just fantasies. They're blueprints that your subconscious will work tirelessly to manifest in your external reality. Money responds to your inner state the way a tuning fork responds to frequency. When you're broadcasting calm, when there's stability in your nervous system, when you're not vibrating with desperation or anxiety, money moves toward you naturally. It's not personal. It's not moral judgment. It's physics. Wealth gravitates toward coherence and flees from chaos. And right now, the coherence you're developing is becoming magnetic. But here's what most people don't understand about value. They think value is something you have to create through hard work, through providing services, through producing something tangible. And while action is part of the equation, the deeper truth is that your inner state emits value automatically. When you're grounded in prosperity consciousness, when your being radiates confidence and certainty, people feel it. Opportunities sense it. Money recognizes it. You become valuable not just for what you do, but for who you are being. This emission happens without effort, without strategy, without manipulation. It's authentic frequency, the natural radiation of someone whose internal foundation is solid. Solvency isn't just about having money in the bank. It's about being someone who knows, without question, that resources will always be available. And when you embody that knowing, prosperity doesn't just visit you occasionally. It expresses itself through you constantly, finding ways to flow into your life through channels you never could have consciously planned. Financial increase is activating in you right now, even as you rest, even as you simply receive these words. It's not waiting for you to wake up and take massive action. It's working in the background, rearranging the invisible structures that determine what shows up in your visible world. And the most powerful part? This activation happens most effectively during rest, during the surrender, during those moments when you're not trying to control everything, but simply allowing the deeper intelligence to orchestrate what your limited perspective could never manage. Your deep mind is becoming sophisticated in ways you won't consciously recognize at first. It's developing a refined ability to scan your environment for opportunities that match your new frequency. Before, you could walk past a dozen doorways to wealth and never notice them because your internal radar wasn't calibrated to recognize them. But now, as your consciousness restructures itself around prosperity, those same opportunities will practically glow with significance. Your awareness will be drawn to them naturally, effortlessly, as if they were magnetized specifically for you. This isn't about forcing yourself to be more alert or disciplined. This is about recalibration at the deepest level. Your system is learning a new language, the language of abundance, and once you speak it fluently, the universe responds in that same dialect. Prosperity flows from inner coherence, remember, not from hustling harder or networking more or trying to manipulate outcomes. When you're coherent internally, when all parts of you are aligned and broadcasting the same clear signal, resources find you. Opportunities present themselves. Money appears through channels you never would have thought to pursue. And here's what shifts dramatically: your capacity to receive. Most people sabotage themselves not because they can't attract money, but because they can't hold it. Their internal system has a threshold, an unconscious ceiling that says, this is as much as someone like me can have. The moment they approach that threshold, they find ways to spend it, lose it, or create emergencies that drain it away. But your system is learning to receive increasing amounts without that sabotage pattern. It's expanding your capacity, raising that ceiling, teaching your nervous system that larger sums of money are safe, normal, and meant for you. This reprogramming doesn't happen once, and then you're done. It deepens every single night. Each time you enter that threshold state, between waking and sleeping, each time you allow these truths to settle into your subconscious without resistance, the programming becomes more permanent, more automatic, more integrated into who you are. Tonight isn't an isolated event. Tonight is the beginning of a nightly practice that will compound over time, the way interest compounds in a savings account. Your deep mind doesn't forget. It executes sustained prosperity, not through one-time efforts, but through consistent reinforcement. And the beautiful part is that this reinforcement happens during rest, during surrender, during the hours when you're not consciously doing anything. The feeling of increase that's building within you right now isn't static. It's expanding, growing stronger, becoming more undeniable with each passing night. This is how lasting transformation happens, not through dramatic breakthroughs that fade, but through subtle nightly deposits of truth that accumulate into an unshakable foundation. And as we move forward, You'll discover exactly how to protect this foundation and ensure these changes become permanent fixtures of your new reality. Economic security isn't built on how much money you currently have in the bank. It's built on the unshakable foundation of knowing, at your core, that you are always provided for. This knowing isn't based on evidence or past performance. It's a deep cellular certainty that resources will always flow to you because you've aligned yourself with the source of all resources. And this certainty is becoming your foundation right now, settling into the bedrock of your consciousness where nothing can disturb it. When security lives at this foundational level, everything changes. You stop making decisions from fear. You stop accepting less than you deserve because you're afraid nothing better will come. You stop tolerating situations that diminish you because your internal foundation is so solid that you know you can walk away and still be fine. This is the hidden power of true security. It gives you freedom to move, to choose, to create from inspiration, rather than desperation. Your subconscious isn't just accepting this new foundation. It's actively cooperating with it. There's a partnership forming between your conscious intentions and your subconscious execution. And that partnership creates constant increase. Not sporadic, not dependent on external conditions, but constant. Your energy, which used to scatter in multiple directions trying to survive, is now moving naturally toward financial expansion because that's what aligned energy does. It doesn't have to be forced or disciplined into the right direction. It flows there automatically when there's no internal resistance blocking the path. Now here's what makes this truly powerful. Your deep mind has discovered how to create stability and growth at the same time. Most people think these are opposites, that you either play it safe and stay stable, or you take risks and pursue growth. But that's false limitation. True prosperity includes both. Stability provides the foundation. Growth provides the momentum. And when your consciousness can hold both simultaneously, you create wealth that's both secure and expanding, both reliable and exciting. Money is beginning to feel natural in your experience. Not like something foreign you have to chase or beg for, but like something that simply belongs in your life the way health belongs in your body. This shift from money being external and difficult to money being internal and natural is one of the most important transitions in consciousness you'll ever make. When money feels natural, you stop doing weird things to get it. You stop compromising your integrity. Stop forcing strategies that don't align with who you are. Stop treating wealth like it's reserved for other people. Your system is integrating solvency and abundance effortlessly now, not through willpower or effort, but through recognition. It's recognizing that these aren't qualities you have to earn or prove yourself worthy of. They're inherent in your nature, always have been, just waiting for you to stop arguing with them and start embodying them. And as this integration deepens, as solvency and abundance become as natural to you as breathing, you'll discover that the journey toward wealth wasn't about acquiring something new, but about removing everything that was blocking what was always meant to be yours. There's a profound paradox at the heart of wealth that most people never grasp. They think prosperity requires intensity, constant hustle, aggressive pursuit. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Real wealth, lasting wealth, flows from a state of deep calm. Think about the wealthiest people you know or have observed. There's usually a centeredness to them, a quiet confidence that doesn't need to prove anything. That's not because they became calm after getting rich. They became rich because they learned to be calm first. Calm isn't passive. Calm isn't resignation or giving up. Calm is power in its most concentrated form. When you're calm, your energy isn't leaking out through anxiety, stress, or frantic action. It's contained, focused, available for creation. Your inner attention, instead of bouncing between worry and distraction, remains steadily focused on prosperity. And what you focus on with calm, sustained attention becomes real in your experience. Not someday, not eventually. It's already forming in the invisible realm, taking shape, preparing to emerge into your visible reality. every word you're hearing. Right now, every truth settling into your consciousness is reinforcing this wealth pattern, not creating it from scratch, reinforcing what's already there, strengthening the neural pathways, deepening the grooves that determine your automatic responses to money. This is how transformation becomes permanent, not through one dramatic shift, but through consistent reinforcement until the new pattern becomes stronger than the old one, until prosperity thinking becomes more automatic than scarcity thinking. What emerges from this process isn't temporary or fragile. Prosperity begins manifesting in a sustained, continuous way because you've changed the underlying structure generating your reality. It's like redirecting a river. Once you shift the course, the water keeps flowing in that new direction without you having to move it manually, bucket by bucket. Your consciousness has shifted course, and abundance is the natural flow that results. Your body is a sensitive instrument, far more intelligent than your conscious mind gives it credit for. And right now, your body is learning to recognize this new financial reality as safe. This is crucial because your nervous system will sabotage any reality it perceives as dangerous. If wealth feels unsafe, if unconsciously, you associate it with being targeted, losing relationships, becoming someone you don't recognize, your body will find ways to keep you broke, to keep you safe. But when your nervous system recognizes prosperity as safe, even desirable, it stops fighting your conscious goals and starts supporting them. Monetary abundance isn't being added to your consciousness like an app on a phone. It's integrating, becoming part of the operating system itself, woven into how you perceive reality, how you process information, how you make decisions without even thinking about them. And as this integration deepens, you'll notice something remarkable. You stop questioning whether abundance is really yours, and you start simply expecting it the way you expect the sun to rise, and that expectation becomes the invisible force that pulls your tomorrow into alignment with your new truth. Your internal system has become automated in the most beautiful way. Like a well-programmed computer running sophisticated software in the background, your consciousness is now executing continuous increase without requiring your conscious intervention. You don't have to wake up every morning and remind yourself to think abundant thoughts. You don't have to force yourself into positive mindsets or discipline yourself into wealthy behaviors. The system is running itself, generating prosperity as naturally as your lungs generate breath. Wealth doesn't just arrive and scatter anymore. It consolidates. It builds on itself. It compounds. Where before you might have experienced random windfalls that disappeared as quickly as they came, now there's a gathering effect, a magnetic pull that draws resources together and holds them. This consolidation happens with remarkable ease because it's not fighting against internal resistance. There's nothing in you arguing against your own prosperity anymore. No hidden beliefs sabotaging what you're consciously trying to create. Your deep mind, that powerful organizing intelligence beneath awareness, is becoming masterful at arranging income streams. Not just one source that you're dependent on, but multiple channels flowing simultaneously, creating redundancy and security. It's identifying opportunities you would have overlooked. It's making connections between ideas that your conscious mind would never have linked. It's orchestrating circumstances in ways that will seem like coincidence or luck to outside observers. But you'll know the truth. This is precision manifestation, the result of aligned consciousness operating at full capacity. Money doesn't respond to need or desperation. It never has. Money responds to certainty, the way a compass responds to magnetic north. Your inner certainty is the signal it locks onto, and the stronger that signal becomes, the faster and more directly resources move toward you. This isn't belief in the sense of hoping something might be true. This is certainty in the sense of knowing something is already done, already decided, already yours in the realm where all things exist before they materialize. Your inner state has become a broadcasting station, continuously emitting the frequency of prosperity. Not intermittently. Not only when you remember to think positive thoughts, constantly. It's running in the background of everything you do, coloring every interaction, influencing every decision, attracting opportunities even when you're focused on completely unrelated tasks. This constant emission is what creates the sustained results that people mistake for luck or privilege. And here's what compounds over time. Your relationship with wealth itself is transforming. Each night, as you enter this receptive state, as these truths penetrate deeper into your subconscious, the relationship strengthens. Wealth stops being this external thing you're trying to obtain and becomes an intimate partner, a constant companion, a natural expression of who you are. The fear dissolves, the doubt dissolves. What remains is a simple, elegant knowing that money and you are meant to flow together, and that knowing creates an unbreakable bond that nothing in your external circumstances can sever. Stability isn't something you hope for or work toward indefinitely. Your subconscious is creating it right now, building it beneath the surface, like a foundation being poured for a structure that will stand for decades. This isn't the fragile kind of stability that collapses when one unexpected expense appears. This is solid, immovable, the kind of financial foundation that can weather any storm because it's rooted in consciousness, not in circumstances. Prosperity has stopped feeling like a distant possibility or a fragile hope. It feels firm within you, real, tangible, as concrete as the ground beneath your feet. This shift from maybe someday to this is real right now is the difference between people who dream about wealth and people who actually build it. And your attention, once scattered across 1,000 worries and distractions, has found its focus. It remains fixed on economic expansion, not through forced discipline, but through natural gravitation. You're drawn to growth the way plants are, drawn to sunlight. There's an intelligence to how money moves, an order to it that most people never perceive because they're creating chaos with their conflicting beliefs and scattered energy. But when your internal system aligns, when every part of you is broadcasting the same clear frequency, money doesn't stumble toward you randomly. It moves with precision, with perfect timing, through exactly the right channels. You'll stop wondering why things aren't happening and start marveling at how perfectly everything is unfolding. This perfect order isn't something you create through planning or strategy, though action will still be required. It's something that emerges naturally when your internal system cooperates fully with abundance. Cooperation means no part of you is sabotaging what another part wants. No hidden belief is contradicting your conscious intention. No fear is blocking what your faith is calling in. When that level of internal unity exists, the external world has no choice but to reorganize itself to match. Wealth manifests as a natural result, not as a reward for good behavior or hard work. It's simply the inevitable outcome of an aligned state, the way fruit is the inevitable outcome of a healthy tree. You don't have to make the fruit happen. You just have to maintain the conditions that allow it to form naturally. And those conditions, inner coherence, sustained focus, deep certainty, are solidifying within you right now, creating the invisible structure that will determine what becomes visible in your life. Florence Scovel Shinn understood that manifestation isn't manipulation or cosmic negotiation. It's alignment. It's becoming so internally clear, so vibrationally consistent that the universe has a clear signal to respond to. And as you continue deepening into this process, as these truths settle into the most receptive layers of your consciousness, you're establishing an alignment that will transform not just your bank account, but your entire relationship with reality itself. Prosperity isn't meant to live in just one corner of your existence while the rest of your life remains untouched. What's happening now is a total integration, a spreading of abundance consciousness into every area of your experience. Your relationships begin reflecting prosperity. Your health begins reflecting prosperity. Your creativity, your decisions, your daily routines, all of it starts reorganizing around this new foundation of wealth. This isn't compartmentalized success. This is whole life transformation. Your body, that magnificent biological instrument, is finally resting in economic certainty. For perhaps the first time in years, your nervous system isn't bracing for financial disaster. It's not preparing for scarcity. It's settled into a state of deep trust that resources will always flow, that you will always be provided for, that abundance is your birthright and your reality. This physiological shift is profound, because stress about money lives in the body, not just the mind. And when the body releases that stress, when it learns to rest in certainty, everything changes. Abundance isn't a special occasion anymore. It's not something that happens on good days, while scarcity is your default. Abundance has become your habitual state, your baseline, your normal. This is who you are now, not who you're trying to become, not who you hope to be someday. This is your identity right now, and your reality is already beginning the process of catching up to match this new self-concept. Your entire internal system, conscious mind, subconscious programming, emotional patterns, belief structures, habitual responses, is now operating in complete cooperation with prosperity and wealth. There are no hidden contradictions anymore. No part of you is fighting against what another part desires. This unity creates power that's exponential, not additive. When every element of your being points in the same direction, you don't just double your manifestation ability, you multiply it beyond measure. The feeling of prosperity has activated fully within you now, not as something you're forcing or pretending. This is genuine, cellular recognition of abundance as your truth. And as you continue listening, as these affirmations cycle through your consciousness, each repetition isn't just repeating the same information. Each cycle is deepening the programming, carving it into your subconscious at levels that become more permanent, more automatic, more unshakable. This is neural pathway creation happening in real time, and the more you allow it, the more you surrender to this process, the more profound and lasting the changes become. Tonight marks a turning point, not because of what you're hearing, but because of what you're becoming. And as you drift towards sleep, you'll carry this new frequency with you into the dream state, where the deepest transformation continues. Prosperity isn't meant to live in just one corner of your existence while the rest of your life remains untouched. What's happening now is a total integration, a spreading of abundance consciousness into every area of your experience. Your relationships begin reflecting prosperity. Your health begins reflecting prosperity. Your creativity, your decisions, your daily routines, all of it starts reorganizing around this new foundation of wealth. This isn't compartmentalized success. This is whole life transformation. Your body, that magnificent biological instrument, is finally resting in economic certainty. For perhaps the first time in years, your nervous system isn't bracing for financial disaster. It's not preparing for scarcity. It's settled into a state of deep trust that resources will always flow, that you will always be provided for, that abundance is your birthright and your reality. This physiological shift is profound because stress about money lives in the body, not just the mind. And when the body releases that stress, when it learns to rest in certainty, everything changes. Abundance isn't a special occasion anymore. It's not something that happens on good days, while scarcity is your default. Abundance has become your habitual state, your baseline, your normal. This is who you are now, not who you're trying to become, not who you hope to be someday. This is your identity right now, and your reality is already beginning the process of catching up to match this new self-concept. Your entire internal system, conscious mind, subconscious programming, emotional patterns, belief structures, habitual responses, is now operating in complete cooperation with prosperity and wealth. There are no hidden contradictions anymore. No part of you is fighting against what another part desires. This unity creates power that's exponential, not additive. When every element of your being points in the same direction, you don't just double your manifestation ability, you multiply it beyond measure. The feeling of prosperity has activated fully within you now, not as something you're forcing or pretending. This is genuine cellular recognition of abundance as your truth. And as you continue listening, as these affirmations cycle through your consciousness, each repetition isn't just repeating the same information. Each cycle is deepening the programming, carving it into your subconscious at levels that become more permanent, more automatic, more unshakable. This is neural pathway, creation happening in real time. And the more you allow it, the more you surrender to this process, the more profound and lasting the changes become. Tonight marks a turning point, not because of what you're hearing, but because of what you're becoming. And as you drift towards sleep, you'll carry this new frequency with you into the dream state, where the deepest transformation continues. If you've stayed with me all the way to this moment, you're not here by accident. Something in you recognized the truth in these words. Something deeper than your conscious mind knew this was exactly what you needed to hear tonight. And that tells me you're serious about this transformation, that you're ready to move differently, think differently, create differently. This channel exists for people like you, people who understand that real change happens in the quiet places, in the spaces between sleep and waking, in the willingness to reprogram what's been running automatically for years. If this resonated with you, if you felt something shift as you listened, then subscribe to this channel because there's so much more we're going to explore together. This is just the beginning of understanding how your consciousness creates your reality, and I want you here for the entire journey. Leave a comment right now and simply write, "This message was meant for me." Let me know you made it to the end. Let me know you're committed to this path of silent prosperity. Your comment isn't just, "For me," it's a declaration to yourself, a marker in time that says you chose differently tonight. And if this video served you, if it gave you something valuable, hit that like button. Not as a favor to me, but as a way of telling the universe you're ready to receive more of this frequency, more of this truth, more of these tools that actually work. Before you go to sleep tonight, there's one more piece of this puzzle I want to share with you. There's a video appearing on your screen right now that goes even deeper into how to protect this new programming you've just installed. Click it and continue with me there. Let's make sure this transformation doesn't just happen tonight. Let's make it permanent. I'll see you in the next one. Sleep well, and remember, your silence is your power.